Sorry. Beautiful. All right, lovely. Everyone on the record missed my beautiful introduction, but anyway, that's all right. I'm just going to share my screen with you guys, and we're just going to go through a bit of a, there we go, a bit of a education piece for today. So there's going to be no cooking, but for the rest of the sessions of the diet course, there will be a recipe each session, as well as a little bit of education that goes along with that, so that you'll get a bit of both. You get a bit of education and learn a new recipe along the way. So basically, this one is all about revitalizing your nutrition. So on a Friday, guys, we're going to be delving into the mindful eating side of things. I'm going to be taking the majority of those courses, and I'll go with you a little bit through with you what that's going to look like in detail in a sec. And then on a Sunday, we're really going to delve into this revitalizing your nutrition education side of things. So really just stripping the nutrition back to basics and learning, really focusing on getting the right nutrients in your diet, looking at is your balance right with your lunches and dinners and breakfasts and snacks. Getting some meal prep ideas. I know that's thing that people often ask in clinic about is, what kind of meal prep recipes can we have? Things that we can freeze, things that we can, easily defrost, take to work, make versatile in different ways, stuff like that. So that's kind of on the Sunday. Charlie is going to take you through, which is the other dietitian here at HealthFix, a bit about that side of things, and then cook a recipe that's kind of a meal prep recipe or like a balanced meal recipe, that kind of thing. So hopefully that makes sense. So Fridays are more mindful eating focused, and then Sundays are more of that revitalize your nutrition focus. Hold on a second. There we go. So giving you a bit of a sneak peek at what we're actually cooking. So we're going to start off today with just education, and then next on Sunday, we'll dive straight into some beautiful food. So guys, we're going to start with Mexican nacho bowls. Carmen asked me earlier about what banana Snickers wheat mixing is. It is a breakfast, but it can be used in a half portion as a snack or a dessert as well. So I like to mix it up a little bit here. A lot of main meals, but also a couple of brekkies and snacks mixed in as well. Our meal prep recipe is going to be a turkey, lentil, and feta rissole salad, which can also be doubled as a wrap. So we actually are going to use the same rissoles from the Sunday session the following Friday and make some wraps with those. So we've got a few different recipes of the same thing. We're then going to make some a beautiful nice salad, kale, quinoa, mango, and prawn salad. And they're going to teach you guys how to make a beautiful, easy, wholesome dip. And then a throw together pork and veggie stir fry with soba noodles, and finishing off with an avo smash, which is everyone's favorite breakfast. So I've heard from a lot of people. Okay, lovely. Any questions on what we're cooking? Anyone excited? Good stuff. Amazing. All right, guys. So this is basically what I mentioned before. So Fridays, we're going to run through mindful eating. So every Friday at noon, we're going to go through mindful eating. Basically, I'm going to take you guys step by step through the process so that we're building on your skills of mindful eating from the start to the finish. So today we're going to start with the basics. We're going to start with setting up how we mindfully eat and putting that into practice at the end of the session. And then, so basically like the dining experience. Then next week, we're going to build upon that, and we're going to truly learn how to experience engaging our senses through the active eating. So we're really going to delve into finding out hopefully discovering new flavors, new smells, new textures of the food through slowing down and using this mindful eating practice. Following week, we're going to really delve into how to identify your hunger and fullness cues. So this is a big part of mindful eating, and I think a lot of people tend to be a little bit disconnected with the hunger and fullness cues. So that's something that we're going to spend a whole session doing as well. We're then going to delve into cravings. So I deal with this a lot in clinic, and people are always asking me, like, non-hungry eating. I'm craving things all the time. How do I deal with this? So we're going to learn how to really take a step back, use mindful eating to help with managing cravings. One second. And then we're going to finish off with learning some easy breathing and meditation techniques as well, because mindful eating, although it is about the act of food and eating as well, it is getting into that place of being a bit more mindful and observing, being present with our time as well. Cool. And then I'll skip quickly through this one, but basically the Sunday sessions we're going to be delving into, like I mentioned before, balancing our meals, meal prep tips and tricks, learning a quick throw together meal and some tips around how we can kind of use like ingredients in our fridge that we have left over. So we're kind of minimizing food waste and stuff like that. And some creative ways to use green leaves, because I believe they should be in our diet every day. Beautiful. So guys, if you have any kind of, I guess, questions you'd like answered about these things, feel free to write them down or note them down before the Sunday or the Friday session, and you can always ask as we go along, because I want you guys to get the most out of these sessions as possible. In saying that, for today as well, feel free to unmute yourself, ask questions, put things in the chat, answer anything I ask, because I suppose you're going to get the most out of it being here, being present, asking questions as possible. So in saying that, these are all going to be recorded. So if you do ever miss a session, it's okay. Feel free to catch up on it later, particularly the Friday sessions, because we are going to be kind of building upon the ones before. So if you can kind of keep up to date on those, that would be fantastic throughout the 5 weeks. All right, guys, any questions on that so far? No, all good. Okay, lovely. So guys, session 1, we're going to delve into the art of mindful eating. So this is a lovely quote that the Jon Kabat-Zinn, who is, I believe, a Buddhist, well known in the community, once said. And I think it really resonated with me because there's 3 really big components in this quote that I think we should keep bringing ourselves back to when it comes to mindfulness and mindful eating. So paying attention in a particular way, on purpose, in the present moment, and non-judgmentally. So number 1, I think highlighting that we're paying attention on purpose. So we're putting intention into the act of eating or the act of whatever we're being mindful with, right? So putting away your phones, not being distracted and giving us your full attention. Number 2 is being in the present moment. I think in such a busy day, a busy time of year, but also busy city, we have so much going on, and we're constantly thinking about what we had for breakfast or what we're having for dinner, or like what deadlines we have coming up. But this is really about trying to just take this time, this 45 minutes a week, to be in the present moment and intentionally, focus, I suppose, on these new things that we're learning. And the final one there is non-judgmentally. So when we're thinking about being mindful, and this, you might have done any like mindful exercise before, or deep breathing, and some people, I suppose myself included, when you first start doing those kinds of things, it can be very hard to switch off your brain, and you might have a lot of thoughts coming in at you all the time, rather than, I suppose, thinking that you're failing at being mindful and being present because you're constantly thinking about other things. I suppose what I'd rather, I guess, challenge you to do is frame it in a way that, accept the thoughts that are coming, and rather than trying to kind of kick them to the curb, just let them pass through your brain and let them kind of go out the other side and bring yourself back to the present and keep that intention there. So that non-judgmental, there's no right, there's no wrong with this stuff. We're all just kind of learning a new skill together and hopefully seeing it as a bit of a challenge and as an experience. Cool. Alrighty. So guys, today, Mindful Eating 101. So we're going to delve into what mindful eating actually is, first of all. And then I'm going to ask you guys if you think that you are mindful eaters. So we'll look at some signs as to maybe why you are or why you may not be. And then I'm going to ask you guys, hopefully you're brave enough to tell me what you think about yourself in terms of mindful eating, and if you had any practice with this in the past. We'll then delve into the benefits of it, so why it is quite important and why it's good for us to start practicing. Looking then at the core components of mindful eating briefly before putting it into practice with hopefully some lunch or a snack or something that you guys might have with you at home. I know Peter's got a beautiful sandwich there, and I've seen a few other salads and things happening, so that's great. So let's delve straight in. So I'm going to start with what mindful eating is not, because I think it's easy to say kind of what it is, but what I want you to focus on is making sure that we're not kind of seeing this as a diet. So although, we're talking about changing maybe our way of eating, I guess, guys, mindful eating is not really about what we're eating. It's not about being perfect. It's not about always eating the right thing. Okay, so it's kind of changing the way that we are eating. So it's more the how than the what. Okay, and often the what, like we are eating tends to change when we master this skill. So, if we've been trying to reduce the amount of chocolate that we're having, when we become more mindful about the process of eating, that's almost a side result, a byproduct of this mindful eating exercise that you can start to implement, is that you might tend to find that you do end up eating less of those foods that you might try to eat less of. It's not about punishing yourself for eating on the go ever again. So we're going to talk a lot about being present, stopping, slowing down, plating up your food, that kind of thing. If you do have a snack in the car on your way to work, it doesn't mean you failed. Okay, it's just about trying to do more of this mindfulness and a little bit less of that on the go eating. It's not about establishing strict food rules. Okay, like I said before, think of it as a challenge, as an experiment, as a bit of fun. All right, so what mindful eating is? It's maintaining awareness of the present while eating. It's consciously experiencing the colors, textures, flavors, smells, and sounds of your food. So next week, we're really going to delve into this and hopefully start experiencing some flavors and smells and colors and sounds and things that you've never even noticed before, of even some of your favorite foods or foods that you eat all the time. It's about enduring experience. So I'd like you guys to put your hands up for me if you think of food as an experience. Do you enjoy it as an experience? Who can truly say that they do most of the time? Love that, Peter. Well done. Okay. Are you brave enough, Peter, to share, I guess, how you make that happen? Why isn't this experience for you? Oh no, he's on mute.
There we go. Look, it's just such an enjoyment for me. Just the actual, not the process of preparing, it's the process of actually enjoying what's there. It gives me great satisfaction. My issue is that because I enjoy it so much, then you go for the easy solutions, which is often where you go down the path of getting the easy sort of fix, which is where junk food and all that comes in. But yeah.
Amazing. Thank you for sharing. That's great. Absolutely. And for those of you who maybe don't quite see food as maybe an enjoyable eating experience, is anyone brave enough to maybe reflect upon why?
It's not that it's not enjoyable. It's more the fact that for me, unless a food is being artfully prepared and has tons and tons of thought gone into it, which most restaurants don't give tons of thought. They make a good meal, don't get me wrong, but not compared to a Deakin Station menu or something. For me, most meals are about a facilitation to good conversation, people around. And so, when I'm by myself, it's oh, that's right, I have to eat. And I want to eat something good, don't get me wrong. But for me, food is more communal rather than eating by yourself.
Okay, interesting, and so true. Food can be a beautiful social experience, and so maybe in this course for yourself, Peter, we can challenge you to try and make that experience a bit more enjoyable when you are by yourself. And it's actually not a bad situation you put yourself in there, because this is kind of stuff that is almost better to start with alone. Because other people, although as beautiful as it is to share meals with people, and that's an experience, being with other people and is a distraction in itself. And so it's not watching the TV mindlessly, but it's still a distraction, and it can take away from really tuning in and asking yourself kind of how you're feeling. Are you hungry? Why am I eating? Am I enjoying this? All those kinds of questions that we're going to start with asking ourselves.
Got it. Kick everyone else out of the home. Understood you.
And it's a good place to start anyway. So if you are, having your breakfast by yourself, maybe that's the meal where you want to start practicing this, because you can really sit down and take the time. Or by all means, get your partner on board to have a go in doing this with you too. Okay, cool. It is about listening to what your body's asking you for. So this is kind of about tuning into those hunger and fullness cues, tuning into what your body's really wanting, And I just want to make a note here that I think a lot of people, I've heard before people say to me, I'm trying to listen to my body, but what my body is craving all the time is like sugar or junk food or wine. I'm like, how do I be healthy and listen to my body at the same time? And there's a little bit of it's a hard one. We have to remember that our brain is also part of our body. So I guess listening to a craving and listening to our brain at the same time. And when I say that, I mean being able to kind of have the forethought of knowing how a food makes you feel. So that's when you're listening to your brain comes in. So let's say, like, I know from experience that eating a huge plate of chocolate cake is going to make me feel pretty bloated and crap after, although I am craving chocolate at the same time. I guess it's kind of then making that decision, okay, well, do I still have a little bit of that chocolate cake so I have enough to make me not feel sick, but I am going to be able to enjoy that mindfully in a small amount. That's where I think listening to our body and responding to it can kind of come in two ways. So it's not always about, going ham on like all the ice cream and the chocolate and the lollies that, that our body's craving, but it's also about being a bit rational with it and kind of say, okay, well, if I do have that, how am I going to feel? How's having that beautiful salad going to make me feel? I'm going to feel pretty awesome. Maybe I'll have that instead. So, I think that's just a nice thing to touch on, because I do get asked that. And hopefully that resonates with some of you anyway. Cool. And then honoring your hunger and fullness cues. So we'll get into that a little bit more. All right. So why now? Okay. I think I'm going to touch on this, but yeah, I guess I really think that in the business of our lives, particularly living in a city like Sydney, we're 100 miles an hour and we're constantly distracted when we're eating. So guys, I want you to kind of put your hand up and down as I go through these, but can you ever admit that you eat when you are watching TV? On your phone? Whilst driving or traveling? Whilst working? I have to do that sometimes. Not good, but admitting. Chatting with another person. And like I said, like, not that it's such a bad thing, but it can kind of take away from the mindfulness. While you're cooking, sometimes picking, drinking, wine maybe. This all comes into it. So, and then there's a whole other list of things that we might be doing, eating or drinking, alcohol or whatever it might be, while we're doing other things. This is just a couple of examples. So if you do put your hand up at all, then I think we can definitely get some improvements happening here. So it's time, guys. It's time to shift the focus back to the food, back to being in the present and into the act of eating and enjoying. Okay. And when I say eating, by the way, this also comes into drinking too. So like mindful drinking is just as important as mindful eating. And this can be anything from a coffee to a beautiful glass of wine as well. Okay. All right. Are you a mindless eater? So some signs. Again, I'd love you guys to kind of pop your hand up if you experience any of these as well. Actually, and maybe even note down, if you have a pen and paper handy, which ones really resonate with you, because these are the kinds of things I'd like you guys to reflect on later in the course as well. Ryan Cross, just mentioned in the chat, why is snacking such a major part of social interactions? It is. Food is a cultural experience, a social experience. So I think so is drinking in Australia as well. I think it's because it's something that's kind of shared, and it's something that I think should be celebrated, and that shouldn't be a negative thing. We just need to be, I suppose, bring a bit more mindfulness around our approach to the food and snacking, particularly when we are in big social interactions and things like that. But yeah, I think it's just part of living, Ryan, and I think we all experience it too. So hopefully this course will help us to become a bit more mindful with that. All right, guys, so some signs. So not recognizing the difference between hungry and non-hungry eating. So note that down, note these ones down if you think this is you. Confusing hunger and thirst. So it kind of comes into that a little bit, kind of understanding our body, what it's telling us. Forgetting what you had to eat in a day. I find it's bizarre because I think about food 24/7, but I do have people coming to me being like, "Oh, what did you have yesterday?" I literally have no idea. I'm like, what? How do you forget? But yeah, this could be a very, very big sign that you're not being mindful if you're forgetting totally what you've had to eat. Eating because of, this is non-hungry eating, so emotions. boredom, tiredness, stress is a huge one. You know, even happiness as well. Eating for rewards is a big one as well, I see. And there you go, eating as a reward, or because maybe you deserve it. Okay, after a long day, do something good. Eating because of external cues. So, it's 12 o'clock lunchtime. Ever anyone experienced that? Or, okay, 6 o'clock dinner time. All the time I see this. It really can take away from experiencing true hunger. And it's okay to have, like, obviously we all have work breaks and, you know, we've got only a specific time till we can eat. But I suppose when we can control over this is what we want to be looking at. Eating in case you get hungry later. Not stopping to listen to what your body signals are telling you. So what comes under this could be allowing yourself to get too hungry or too ravenous, eating too quickly, which can then lead to overeating or eating past the point of being comfortably full. This one here, eating an amount that should make you feel full but not feeling satisfied. What I mean by that is there's probably a choice that's gone into that meal that's not really fulfilling what you really truly want. So if you're not feeling satisfied by a meal, is the balance out? Is really the choice of what you're needing out? Like, was there not enough carbohydrates in your meal and you're just not feeling quite satisfied and you're hungry an hour later? So that's all comes into it as well. Carmen, I agree, especially since we don't smoke like we used to. I think you're right. I think smoking used to be a bit of a social thing, and now it's kind of eating and drinking very much, particularly in Australia. All right, guys, so the benefits, like, why should we care? I don't want to spend too long on this, but basically there's a lot of evidence to actually support mindful eating. And there's a big meta-analysis that came out in 2017, and this is the only study that's huge amounts of research on this. But the 3 main pillars they really see improvements in when we do start looking at mindful eating in different populations is a reduction in binge eating. So really, really big portions of food, and particularly more discretionary food options in one sitting. Reduction in emotional eating, which is any kind of non-hungry eating or eating due to those stress triggers or tiredness and those kinds of things. And eating in response to external cues that we talked about as well. So that's not all though. Like, there are so many benefits, and I'm going to quickly run through them. But enjoyment of food, reducing binges, like I mentioned, which can aid in weight management. Right? Weight management is a byproduct of all of this. And I know we're not all out to lose weight, but like, a lot of people do come to see me for that reason. And I think this is a really big part of the process when it comes to weight management, sustainable long-term weight management. Improving digestion through slower eating. A lot of people come to me saying, I'm bloated all the time. Why am I bloated? Reducing the portions is often what is a byproduct of mindful eating, which can help with digestion and reducing your speed of eating. Helping us to tune into hunger and fullness cues, helping us to identify true hunger versus cravings. Noticing the effect that food has on your feelings. So I mentioned that before about having that foresight. Will the chocolate cake make me feel great or not? And the portion of that. Allowing us to appreciate our food. Having gratitude for our food. Where did it come from? Who prepared it? I think this day and age as well, like, you know, it's so convenient just to go and pick up a steak from the supermarket that's vacuum packed. We don't really kind of appreciate the process that's gone into, like, the farming processes and stuff about that. It's really nice to kind of take a step back and have a bit of gratitude for, I guess, how lucky we are to have access to all of those kinds of foods too. And finally, reducing the stress and anxiety at mealtime. So hopefully you guys don't experience too much of that, but if you do, hopefully that this process will help you to reduce a bit of that and just enjoy the food a bit more. Okay, so before we get into practice of all of this, what are 3 things maybe in all of those lists of things that we've talked about so far that you'd like to improve on in the next 5 weeks? So if you guys could just write down for me 3 main things that you'd like to see improvements on over the course of this course, that'd be amazing. So I'll give you a minute to do that now. And whoever is brave enough, I'd love to hear maybe from 1 or 2 of you what you've decided to really focus on for the next 5 weeks. Anyone brave enough to share?
I can share, Jordan.
Yeah.
I've got a couple of goals, but I guess the main one probably would be to be more mindful of the portion sizes that I'm eating.
Amazing. Yeah, fantastic. I think that's going to be a huge one for a lot of people as well. Yeah, Carmen?
I'm happy to share. For me, I know I need to recognise when I'm full or not full, because I often don't recognise that. But something, I'm not sure whether other people have this issue. If you're eating, I'm with my husband, and I know that he doesn't enjoy eating. He pushes his food around the plate and he says it out loud, I don't enjoy food. It's just a function for me. So it'd be good if some of whatever we're learning I can share with him, or it can rub off on him. I don't know if that's a realistic goal, if he's not taking part in the course, but that's something I'd like to, perhaps even from the way I'm talking about the food myself, it might rub off on him. I don't know if that's realistic.
That's great, Carmen. Maybe even discussing, like, asking the questions of, like, what flavors can you taste out of that food? Or, next week we're going to talk about trying to identify different senses and stuff. So maybe that could be helpful to ask him those questions and see if he can identify different things and start to be a bit more mindful himself. But it's a tough one when you've got someone who's a bit not on the same page, but doesn't mean that you can't practice it anyway. Fantastic. Anyone else like to share, or shall we keep moving along?
I'm happy to share. I'm similar to Carmen. I also want to be able to identify feeling full or not full. I think that's something I've always struggled with. And then I think really enjoying what I'm eating, like noticing different tastes and stuff. And then, with that, like just being excited to eat rather than being like, it is dinner time, I should probably eat, otherwise I'll be starving later. Or just eating, because I'm out with friends.
Amazing. Thank you, Elsa. That's great. So I'm hearing I like there's a few different things here. So there's enjoyment. So I want to get more enjoyment out of food. I want to focus on being mindful of portion size and understanding my hunger and fullness cues. This is great because all of this is what we are going to cover. So I'm just reading the comment. It's a direct one. Okay, we can talk about that later, Ryan, if you like. Okay, guys, amazing. So let's put into practice. So this is a bit of an overview of, I suppose, what mindful eating is all about. And we have discussed a few of these already, like giving gratitude, but where it's really going to start and what we're going to focus on today are these 6 areas. So really, basically what this is setting up the dining experience, setting up yourself for success with mindful eating. And before we can kind of delve into like understanding our hunger and fullness cues and all that stuff, we need to get into the right headspace. And what we're going to do today is try and figure out or teach you some tips and tricks and strategies to get into that headspace so that we can start identifying those thoughts and feelings that are coming up, tuning into our bodies, then being able to make the decisions we want to make around our food and enjoying it a bit more. So if you can all guys quickly, mindful eating journal. The way that we're going to track and keep you guys accountable over the next 5 weeks for all of this is through the mindful eating journal. So I hope you guys have seen this on the Facebook group. If you haven't, it should be on there. You can download it. If not, please email me and I'll send you a copy. And basically each day of the week, I would like you guys to fill in from today being Friday through to Thursday, one thing that you did towards your mindful eating challenge. And I'll tell you about what the mindful eating challenge will be at the end. But basically, this is kind of your accountability buddy. So every day for the next 5 weeks, hopefully we'll have one small act of mindful eating every day with a different focus each week so that we can start to practice and build upon the mindful eating exercise that we're doing. Awesome. So today we are going to start with setting up the dining experience. So if you could all please go and grab some food, lunch, snack, whatever it might be. It can just be the smallest snacks if you've already had your lunch, that's fine. Or even it could be like a beverage as well, that's fine too. So I'll give you guys a minute if you haven't already got something handy to go and grab something and come back. Everyone looks like they're ready to go. Alicia's going and getting on a journey there. Good stuff, Alicia. Beautiful. Oh, Ryan, if you haven't been added to the group, let me, I'll put that on my to-do list. I'll put you in. Has anyone else not been added to the Facebook group? No, everyone looks good.
Or does anyone else not have Facebook?
Oh, sorry. So if you haven't got Facebook, sorry. I know it's like assumed.
I don't.
It's so bad. You should have gotten everything through email. So have you got that mindful eating journal?
Not that I'm aware of, but that doesn't mean I haven't received it.
Okay. Well, I'll forward it to you anyway.
Thanks, Jordan. Thank you.
The recipes and things should all be forwarded to you via email. If they're not, please let me know, and I will make sure that you get on the email list.
No problems.
Just for admin purposes. And Isabel hasn't been added to the group. Isabel, do you have Facebook? Oh, Isabel,
Yes.
we just added you today. That's why.
Yeah.
You will be added to the group. Don't you worry. We'll put you in today. All right, lovely. Everyone's got their food. Amazing. All right, we're going to go through a bit of a step-by-step practice. So bear with me here. Okay, number one, and this is what hopefully, guys, this week, by the way, to preface, this week is all going to be focusing on kind of these steps. So keep in mind, maybe take a screenshot if you like of when we get to the all the steps in a row. And this is what we're going to try and be practicing every day, at least once, if we can. At least one meal, one snack of the day for the rest of the week. So number one is turn off devices. Please don't shut off your computer right now, though. Just keep me on for now. This is going to be different to when you're doing this every other day of the week. But phones, TVs, laptops. This does also include things like books and magazines and stuff. If you can, just remove all distractions away from your table. Number two, plate your food. So the reason, even if it's like a little snack, the reason why I'm encouraging you guys to put it on a plate is because it takes away from mindless eating when we're standing at the fridge or standing at the pantry, figuring out what we should have. And by the time that we've had about 10 nuts, we've already then decided what we're going to eat, and we've already kind of had a snack already. So it kind of just takes away from that mindless snacking while we're kind of on the go thinking about the things. So plating your food. The next one, sitting down, is for the exact same reason. So sitting down with a plate of food, that should be kind of what I'm encouraging you guys to try and only eat during those times when you're at home and things, rather than standing up and nibbling while you're doing other things. Then I want you to take a bite. After you take a bite, hold off and take a bite right now. After you take a bite, I want you guys to put your knife and fork or your food down if you've got like a sandwich or something. And I want you to count to 20 chews before swallowing your food. So let's have a go at doing that now. Everyone's got hopefully their food on a plate. If not, it's okay. Take a bite, put your stuff down, and I want you to count to 20 before swallowing. And then I want someone to report back and see how you went with that. Still see some chewing. That's good. This looks like more than 20, maybe. Did anyone find that easy, difficult? Let me know. Carmen's shaking her head.
I found it hard. I only had a couple of bleeps left in my mouth after about 15. I found I was swallowing while I was chewing.
Okay.
Yeah. Number two,
Peter as well.
I agree.
That is impossible. After 10 seconds, it's just like, oh, I don't like this food anymore. Get it out of my face. It just tastes like mush. And I like the texture. I don't like mush in my mouth. It's boring.
Okay. Did anyone find it easy? No. All right, cool. Well, my next point on my slideshow was going to be, if it was easy, you count 25 or 30. So look, the point of this exercise is to slow down your eating. I think we see, and I suppose reflecting upon yourself, if you're finding it difficult to chew to that like 20 chews, And if you think that you're the kind of person who kind of goes to have another bite, maybe even before you've swallowed, you can see how that eating process is taking a couple of minutes rather than that 15 to 20 minutes. So it's really just slowing down the process. It's one strategy of slowing down. We don't kind of have to chew your food every 20 times for the rest of your life and just focus on that, because I can understand and appreciate that can take away from the appreciation of the food as well. But for the purpose of this exercise and for slowing down and setting up that kind of mindful eating space, let's have a go at doing that this week. So guys, take a photo or a screenshot of that list. These are the kinds of things I would like you to focus on this week. So even if you just, you're busy at work and all you can do is get away from your desk and put your food away and sit down to eat, maybe you don't get to the chewing, that's okay. That's at least something. So I just want you to note that down in your mindful eating journal. I turned my devices off and I plated my food today, or, I did all these things, or I got to 50 chews today. I just want you guys to be a bit of aware. This is going to be the homework for this week. So, question?
So is this with every time we sit down, or can we count it as success if we do it once?
So my challenge to you is to just try and do this once a day. So if you can pick a meal to do this in, don't worry, I'm not going to kind of make you count to 20 every single time you eat for the rest of the 5 weeks. This is just for this week. It's the purpose of it is to try and stretch out your meals. Alternatively to this, and this is something else that you might like to try, is putting a 20-minute timer on your phone or something. Put the device away. But basically what we're trying to do is slow down the eating. Put the knife and fork down, appreciate the flavors, take the time, because our stomach and our brain are connected, but there's a bit of a disconnect in terms of how full we are, and then how quick our brain realizes that we are full. So it takes about 20 minutes for our brain to realize that we're full when we start eating. So that makes it very, very easy to overeat or eat too much and not understand stop when we're full and that kind of thing. So this is, I guess, setting ourselves up for success later when we do start talking about hunger and fullness cues, by slowing down and making that space to be a bit more mindful, and slow down every mouthful essentially. Some other tips, set the mood. So guys, I very much encourage you to kind of make it a fun experience for yourself. If it's a nighttime thing or whatever, like set a candle, put some incense on. Don't put like rock and roll crazy hectic music on, maybe just something a bit more chill, like classical, or even something that's a bit more like lyricless, just so that you've got a nice vibe. And that might be helpful for you to kind of really tune in. Some people find music distracting, so if you'd rather do it in silence, that's also okay as well. This is more just like extras. You don't have to do this, but it might be a nice thing for you guys to do. So it makes you kind of want to sit down and enjoy that a bit more. You might get a bit more enjoyment out of the meal if you have a bit more of a mood around it. So feel free. All right. So the challenge I've mentioned was basically doing what we just did, but trying to do it for an entire meal rather than just one bite. Hopefully it doesn't all taste like mush, Peter. I hope that you enjoy the sandwich a bit more next time. It also might mean that you need to take smaller bites. So sometimes when it's like impossible to get to that, that was the opposite way around. If some people have reported to me that it takes too many chews, they're getting through like 40 or 50 chews, maybe you need to take smaller bites if that's happening to you. But if you're struggling with the 20 altogether, then you don't take smaller bites, that's fine. So this is an example of what you might fill into your weekly journal. So lunch, I tried it for lunch today. I put my work away, I sat down without distractions, and I got up to 25 chews. That's just an example of what you might note down in your journal. But any kind of mindful eating that we talked about today, at any point in the day, just once a day, that's all I'm going to challenge you guys to do. So it's not a huge amount of homework, but just keeping it kind of front of mind for at least one time in the day would be great. And find a time that you think might be less hectic in your day. It might be a dinner after work when you're able to wind down and have some time, or if you do have more time in the mornings, then maybe it's a breakfast. There's no kind of right or wrong here. Just think of it as a bit of a challenge, a bit of an experiment. Awesome. So I hope I haven't run over. So guys, Sunday we're going to delve into making some Mexican nacho bowls, and that session is going to be all about balanced meals and learning how to make sure that we've got like the right nutrients, right food groups in our days. Charlie is going to be taking that one. So if you haven't met Charlie yet, you'll see her on Zoom on Sunday. And yeah, I guess that's pretty much me for today. Any questions at all? No. Yeah, Colin.
Any tip how to stop swallowing while you're eating, while you're chewing? It just seems to go down while I'm chewing. So how do I stop that?
Interesting. I think it's just a habit thing. Just keep practicing and see if you get better at it. I can't say I've got any huge tips for you. I mean, does anyone else in the group have any other tips for that?
I think Peter, one of the Peters, I think, said yes, he agreed.
I agree. Yeah, it's the same. There's no way I could get to 20 because I'm swallowing as I'm chewing.
Yeah, swallow as you chew. Yeah, me too.
The other thing I noticed is that the more you eat, the food settles at the back of your mouth near the bottom of your like tongue. So like just double check. It may not be your swallowing, but it might be that as the saliva mixes with your food, we store it down here, and then we'll eventually swallow the whole thing as like a nice compact unit of food down. I don't know. That's just another way that I do know that we eat food.
Do you, Carmen and Peter, do you guys think that you're chewing your food enough? Like, do you think it's still like in whole when you're swallowing? Do you think if you're only getting a few chews?
Well, I only had a little bit of tin salmon, a piece of tomato, and a couple of green leaves. That's all I put in my mouth. So it wasn't a lot. So the salmon's already like in little pieces. It's not really much to chew, as opposed to, say, if you put a 1-inch cube of steak in your mouth, that's a bit different. It needs a bit more chewing.
Yeah, that's
so fair. I don't know. Maybe I needed to put more on my fork. I don't know, but I just deliberately put a small amount on my fork because we were doing the exercise. But I'll pay attention now because it was really, I know I eat too fast. So even if I can get to 10, that might be good for me. I don't know. And then build up.
Yeah, absolutely. It's relative. So give it a go, and it will depend on your food. So if you're finding that like in that meal you're only getting to 10 or 15, then let's try and get to that 15 maybe. Whereas if it's a steak and you're like getting to 30 easily, like maybe I'll get to 35. And then the other option I said, maybe it's about putting that 20-minute timer on instead of counting the chews and just trying to eat slowly that way. But we do, digestion does start in the mouth. And so it's important to making sure that we are chewing our food properly, and that's also part of this whole process as well, and why it's important.
Yes. Thank you.
Okay.
I just had a question. Just in preparation for Sunday. So, like, should we have? This might have already come out in an email, so I'm sorry if I missed it. But should we have chopped everything up, like prepared for the? No, we chop it together.
No, we'll chop it all up together. Okay. Yeah. So unless specified on the Facebook group or in the email, otherwise then we'll just do it all together. Yeah.
Cool. Thank you.
Amazing. All right, guys, thank you so much. I'm going to stop the recording there somehow. How do I even stop the recording? I'm not sure. There we go. Beautiful. So thank you for everyone that's listening to the recording. We'll see you on